When the car crash happened, Ethan's first instinct was to shield Chloe, the woman he loved, with his body, completely ignoring me, his pregnant wife. That day, Ethan and Chloe topped the trending charts. The comments were a waterfall of people gushing over their love story, filling the screen with blessings. At the same time, a dissonant comment was also pushed to the top. CEO Ethan Shin is allegedly married. A-list star Chloe Chin is knowingly the other woman. Someone had posted a photo of Ethan and me getting our marriage license at the registry office 5 years ago. In an instant, the news that the famous actress Chloe was a homewrecker exploded. Ethan immediately issued a statement. Divorced. Not a homewrecker. It was a clarification on Chloe's behalf. A few hours after releasing the statement, Ethan came to my hospital room and handed me a divorce agreement. Vera, it wasn't easy for Chloe to get where she is today. To protect her career. Let's get a divorce for now. We can remarry after this whole thing blows over. I nodded and silently took the papers from him, signing my name. Then, I immediately scheduled an abortion. Just before the crash, Chloe, sitting in the back seat, had been cooing and complaining to Ethan. She whined that the catering on her film set was terrible and that her current role was too exhausting. Ethan comforted her in a gentle voice, promising to arrange for a 5-star hotel chef to personally look after her meals. As for the tiring scenes, he was about to call the director and have all the strenuous work done by a stunt double. Sitting in the front passenger seat, I watched them in the rearview mirror. Chloe was draped over Ethan, her hands clinging to his arm intimately. It was a disorienting sight. An outsider would have thought they were the loving couple, but I was Ethan's legal wife, wasn't I? To witness my own husband being so close to another woman and have to swallow my anger, I must be the world's greatest master of endurance. As I was mocking myself internally, the crash happened. Inertia threw my body forward before the seatbelt yanked me back. The airbag deployed, protecting my torso, but my leg was pinned by something, and my head slammed against the side, leaving me dazed and bleeding. The first wave of pain hit, and my first instinct was to turn and check on Ethan in the back. Like me, his forehead was bleeding, but he paid no attention to himself. His eyes were fixed on Chloe, who had fainted in his arms. Chloe, are you okay? Perhaps it was the pain, but my eyes began to well up. Tears mixed with the blood streaming down my forehead, blurring my vision. I didn't wipe them away. I just sat there in the passenger seat, numb, as Ethan's frantic calls to Chloe and the heart-wrenching pain caused my consciousness to fade. I woke up hours later, staring at the white ceiling until my vision finally focused. A familiar, joyful voice broke the silence. Ma'am, you're awake. Mrs. Wong. I turned my head toward our housekeeper, but a sharp pain from my leg made me hiss and grimace. Mrs. Wong squeezed my hand, her face full of sympathy. It must hurt terribly. The doctor can't give you painkillers because of the pregnancy. You'll have to endure it. My voice was hoarse. What's wrong with my leg? Severe lacerations and a fracture. You'll need to stay for observation for a few days. At least it wasn't completely broken. I let out a small sigh of relief. My phone, in my purse on the nightstand, started ringing. Mrs. Wong handed it to me. I answered, and my best friend Maya's furious voice boomed through the speaker. I'm going to lose my mind. That disgusting scumbag Ethan and that homewrecker Chloe, how can people be shipping their romance? Has the world gone mad? And you're just going to sit there and watch them use this for publicity without saying a word. I held the phone a little further from my ear. Maya, my leg is injured. What? How did you get hurt? We were in the same car. Holy crap. That bastard Ethan. He protected that tramp right in front of you. What does he take you for? His pregnant wife. Maya was livid on the other end, the sounds of her getting dressed rustling through the phone as she yelled. Which hospital? I'm coming over right now. After hanging up, I glanced at the trending topics. Ethan and Chloe dominated the top 10. The news reports filled in the blanks of what happened after I passed out. The ambulance arrived quickly. Chloe, shielded by Ethan, was completely unharmed but had fainted. A bystander had recorded Ethan's frantic shouting as he carried Chloe to the ambulance, and the video went viral. Chloe was a huge star, so it took less than half an hour for Ethan's identity to be uncovered, along with their entire history. Ethan, the hotshot CEO of the business world, netizens discovered that Ethan and Chloe were high school classmates, a perfect match of talent and beauty who had started dating in their senior year. Old, sweet photos of them were dug up by resourceful fans. The comments were all the same. So sweet. This is the most perfect couple I've ever seen. Yeah, it's not easy for a high school romance to last this long. Isn't it so badass how he risked his own life to protect his wife? Totally. This is true love. He'd rather die than let his beloved woman get hurt. The high-definition video of Ethan shielding Chloe, his own forehead bleeding, was shared again and again. My own image, bloody and unconscious in the passenger seat, was also part of the footage. Someone commented, "Who's that ugly woman with the bloody head?" Another replied uncertainly, "The one in the passenger seat is usually an assistant." Right. Someone else refuted, "Not an assistant. I know all of Chloe's assistants. And Ethan's assistant is a man, not a woman." Then who is she? Many treated the video of my unconscious form as a joke, finally concluding that I must be a household servant. After all, my clothes were plain, and I wore no accessories. I could only be a maid. I scrolled through the comments silently, my mind racing. Everyone said Ethan and Chloe were a match made in heaven, but no one knew the truth. Ethan and I had been betrothed since childhood. Chloe was the latecomer. She transferred to our high school in our senior year and won Ethan's heart. Ethan and Chloe were once madly in love. He had tried to break off our engagement to be with her, but there's no room for love in wealthy families. The Shin family's company was in trouble and needed capital, and Chloe's ordinary background offered no help. In the end, Ethan's family intervened, forcibly separating the two lovers. Of course, Ethan and Chloe wouldn't break up so easily. They planned to elope, but on the night before they were supposed to leave, something happened. Ethan and I inexplicably ended up in bed together, and Chloe walked in on us. Heartbroken, Chloe left. After failing to find her, Ethan was forced by his family to marry me. Ethan felt no love for me. In fact, he despised me. He believed I had schemed to break them up. I couldn't explain, because it was true that I loved Ethan, loved him to the bone. Marrying him and becoming his wife was my deepest desire. I knew he didn't like me. I knew marrying him would be hard. When we married, he set harsh conditions, the main one being that we would not publicize our relationship. For 5 years, I was his hidden wife, just as he had stipulated. Ethan was cold and distant, and I loved him with a servile devotion, washing his clothes, cooking his meals, making him hangover soup. We lived under the same roof like this for 2 years, and then one night, we truly became husband and wife. I thought it was a breakthrough in our relationship, but I was too naive. Ethan's attitude toward me had started to change. He would come home from work on time and buy me flowers and gifts on holidays. He would make me ginger tea with brown sugar when I had menstrual cramps. We started sleeping together more often. I thought my spring had finally arrived, but I never expected that Chloe, who had been gone for 3 years, would suddenly return. The day she came back was my birthday. Ethan had promised to have dinner with me. I prepared a feast, opened a bottle of red wine, and arranged beautiful flowers. I waited and waited, but by 10 o'clock, Ethan still hadn't shown up. He didn't answer my calls. I later found out that Chloe was back. She had coincidentally appeared at the hotel where Ethan was negotiating a deal and was nearly assaulted by a fat, sleazy investor. Ethan, in a fit of rage, had beaten the man up for her. From that day on, Ethan started leaving early and coming home late. He invested a fortune into a script to pave the way for Chloe's career. With his backing, her path to stardom was smooth. She quickly went from an unknown newcomer to a popular starlet, and within a year, she became one of the hottest actresses in the industry. Many guessed she had a powerful backer, but no one knew it was Ethan. They were careful to maintain distance in public. Ethan never met Chloe personally, always sending his assistant. Even when they did meet, he brought his assistant along. If not for this car crash, no one would have ever connected them. Ethan never hid his help for Chloe from me, and I turned a blind eye to it. I kept telling myself to hold on, that after so many years, my perseverance would pay off, especially after I found out I was pregnant. I told Ethan the news. He was overjoyed and stayed home with me for a few days. I thought it was a new beginning, I thought the pregnancy would make him draw a clear line with Chloe. I never imagined a car accident would bring everything out into the open. The video of the crash played on a loop on my phone. I watched Ethan shield Chloe, his face etched with worry. I watched him scream at the paramedics to take the unconscious Chloe to the hospital first, completely ignoring me, lying motionless and bleeding in the passenger seat. Ethan truly, deeply loved Chloe, even after 5 years of my presence. Even though I had used our marriage to trap him by my side for 5 years, it wasn't enough to sever their connection. My dream of warming his heart and using a child to bind him to me now seemed like a joke. Seeing the pathetic image of my own bloody face, seeing how Ethan's gaze never once lingered on me, my heart turned to ice. If not for this crash, I would have foolishly continued to love him, believing my devotion would eventually move him, that a miracle would happen and he would fall for me. But now, after hitting a wall and ending up bloodied, I suddenly realized all my persistence, all my love, was a farce. I asked myself over and over, was it worth it? For a man who doesn't have you in his heart at all? Were all your years of sacrifice worth it? The answer was crystal clear. No. I used to think loving Ethan and being by his side was my life's purpose. But now, I regretted it. I realized I didn't love Ethan that much anymore. I was in the hospital for a week. During that time, Ethan never appeared. Not even a call or a text. His assistant did come by with food and drinks. He told me Ethan was busy with a major international merger. As he made excuses for Ethan, his eyes darted away, filled with pity. He knew how much I loved Ethan, how much of a doormat I was. He thought I didn't know Ethan was on the same floor, in a luxury suite, keeping Chloe company. In fact, I had known Ethan's every move since I woke up. Chloe had sent them to me. We had been classmates, after all, and still had each other's contact information. Those who are favored have nothing to fear. Chloe knew Ethan and I were married, but she felt no shame. Instead, she arrogantly sent me updates on her and Ethan. While my leg was throbbing with pain, I watched videos of Ethan comforting a crying Chloe as she woke from her fainting spell. While I was in too much pain to eat, I watched Ethan peel apples and oranges for Chloe, feeding her soup and meals. While I struggled to use the restroom with a fractured leg, I saw Ethan carefully helping Chloe to the bathroom. I saw her wrap her arms around his neck, playfully, and then I saw her kiss him on the cheek. Ethan didn't push her away. He allowed this transgression. A kiss was just the first step. More intimate contact was sure to follow. It was a private luxury suite. After all, they could do whatever they wanted. I imagined all the intimate things they would do next, a natural progression of taking off clothes and doing what men and women do. I thought I would be devastated, that I would smash things and cry hysterically. But none of that happened. It's not that I wasn't sad, but the sadness slowly faded with each intimate moment between them, especially when I saw the picture of them kissing. A sense of release washed over me. In 5 years of marriage, Ethan had never once kissed me. He would sleep with me, but he would never kiss me. I once read that for men and women, sex can be a purely physical act, but kissing is different. Only people who are deeply in love can kiss. Otherwise, the touch of lips feels disgusting. So, Ethan only slept with me and never kissed me because he didn't love me. He just used me as an outlet. It could have been anyone. I held no special place in his heart. Realizing this, I let out a bitter laugh. The saying "the greatest sorrow is a dead heart" described my experience perfectly. I knew my love for Ethan had vanished. I was lost, unsure of what to do next. And there was still the tiny life inside me that I had so eagerly anticipated. I had once hoped to use this child as a bond to tie Ethan down, but now I knew he couldn't care less about this child. I hesitated, unsure if I should keep it. I was capable of raising the child. I could ensure a life of comfort, but it was Ethan's child, with his blood running through its veins. It wouldn't belong only to me. Keeping it would mean I would forever be tied to Ethan, even if he didn't want the child. We would be connected. And right now, I wanted nothing more to do with him. As I was wavering, another crisis erupted. For the past week, Chloe and Ethan had been constantly trending. One was a wealthy, handsome, and powerful CEO. The other was a beautiful, talented, and famous actress with countless fans. Their love story moved many who didn't know the truth. They praised Ethan and Chloe's romance, And Khloe's fanbase grew by over 30 million in just 1 week. She was on top of the world, reaping the benefits of the media storm. Endorsement deals poured in. Her schedule was packed with reality shows, movies, and TV series. Her value skyrocketed. She was more famous than ever before. And then, someone posted the video of Ethan and me getting our marriage license. The backlash against their perfect love story was immediate and brutal. The same fans who had adored them now reviled them. Khloe the homewrecker shot to the top of the trending list. Maya called me the second she saw the news. She was gloating. "This is hilarious. That tramp finally got what was coming to her. I heard the breach of contract fees are in the billions. Haha. I wonder how she's panicking right now. She couldn't pay that off even if she sold everything she owns. I have to go comment some more. Crush that homewrecker." Staring at the news on my phone, I felt like something was off. The timing of this felt wrong. It smelled like a conspiracy. And my gut told me Ethan wouldn't just stand by. He would help Khloe. But how? I had a suspicion, but I couldn't be sure. Just then, my hospital room door was kicked open. Ethan, who hadn't shown his face in a week, stormed in. He rushed to my bedside, his eyes blazing with fury. "This was you, wasn't it? Vera, how could you be so shameless? Do you have any idea what the consequences of this are?" Khloe just tried to slit her wrists. He rattled off a barrage of accusations, grabbing my shoulders and shaking me. I felt dizzy. I pushed his hands away and forced out a denial. "It wasn't me. I didn't do it. If it wasn't you, then who is it? Who else hates Khloe this much?" Khloe's assistant had followed him in. She dropped to her knees in front of me. "Our Khloe has a severe mental health condition. She was just starting to recover. And then this happens. Miss Sue, you've gone too far." She knew Ethan and I were married, but she called me Miss Sue. She tearfully recounted Khloe's suffering, accusing me of being a despicable monster. I never dreamed things would unfold like this. My conscience was clear. I hadn't done it. I repeated myself mechanically. "It wasn't me. It really wasn't me. I swear. I didn't do it." My defense was weak and powerless because Ethan didn't believe me. He continued to rage. "You tore us apart with your shameless schemes back then. And now you pull this disgusting stunt again. Vera, do you really think I won't touch you?" He looked at me as if I were something filthy. He brought up that night, the night that drove Khloe away. It was his deepest wound. He had always believed I had shamelessly plotted against him to separate him from Khloe. But I hadn't. I loved him, yes. But I had never done something so vile. I didn't know how it happened either. Back then, blinded by my love for him, I wasn't even that upset about being misunderstood. I was just thrilled to finally be his wife. But now, as Ethan verbally assaulted me in front of Khloe's assistant, tearing open that old wound, I was flooded with shame. I was scarlet with humiliation. I wanted the ground to swallow me whole. As I was drowning in shame, I heard Ethan's voice, distant yet clear. "Vera, how do you propose we solve this?" I didn't know. It had nothing to do with me. I was being framed. I felt so wronged. A mist formed in my eyes, and I fought back tears, forcing myself to look at him. He was staring at me with utter disappointment. Just like 5 years ago, we were childhood sweethearts. We grew up together. We were engaged to be married. But the moment Khloe appeared, the scales tipped. He loved her and believed her unconditionally. He never took my side, not even once. I was such an incurable fool. I regretted every ounce of love, every year of my youth that I had wasted. If I had known it would come to this, I would never have entered this game. Ethan was waiting for my response. Seeing my silence, he pressed harder. "Vera, you must pay the price for your shamelessness. You started this, so you will bear the consequences." "So, what consequences do you want me to bear?" Even though I told myself not to cry, that it wasn't worth it, my voice still trembled. "2 choices. First, you issue a public statement clearing Khloe of the homewrecker rumors. Then you go to her and apologize. Swear you will never make this mistake again. For the sake of the child, I will forgive you. I will not issue a clarification. I didn't do it, and I will not apologize." So, what is the second option? The second option is we get a divorce. I laughed. A silent, bitter laugh. So this was their real goal all along, forcing me into a divorce. They were the guilty ones. So they had no grounds to divorce me while I was pregnant. So they staged this entire drama. It seemed I had no other choice. I answered, each word clear and deliberate. I choose divorce. Ethan, let's part ways and never entangle our lives again. As the words left my mouth, Ethan's expression grew even darker. He glared at me. Vera, don't push your luck. I'm only being this lenient because you're pregnant. Are you sure you want to apologize? Admit you're wrong. And issue a clarification. Lenient. I couldn't recall a single moment he had ever been lenient with me. So, his coldness, his neglect, his condescension, his baseless accusation that was his idea of leniency. It was a kind of leniency I couldn't afford. He was still pushing. Is a simple apology and clarification so difficult for you? You have the guts to do it but not to admit it. No apology. I repeated, enunciating every syllable. Ethan, we are getting a divorce. Don't even think about an apology. You asked for this. Don't blame me. Ethan slammed the door and left. Chloe's assistant followed, but not before turning to give me a long, meaningful look. The malice in her eyes was undisguised. 2 hours later, a short message appeared on Ethan's social media account. Already divorced. It's a normal relationship, not an affair. I wouldn't apologize. So Ethan had made the decision for me. The scandal about Chloe being a homewrecker instantly shifted direction because of his clarification. Ethan moved quickly. That same evening, he returned to my room with a divorce agreement prepared by his lawyer. He looked at me with a smirk. This is what you wanted. Take a look. And if there are no problems, sign it. I silently took the agreement and began to read it carefully. Ethan paced back and forth in the room. The document was long. After 5 years of marriage, the division of assets alone filled several pages. I examined the numbers. Ethan wasn't stingy. My jewelry, properties, stocks, funds, and cars were all listed. Our divorce was complicated. It was impossible to have such a clear and detailed division of assets drawn up in just a few hours. This agreement hadn't been prepared today. He must have been preparing for this since Chloe returned. And I thought that by playing the meek, oblivious wife, I could earn his pity, that I could hold on to him. What a fool I was. As I was lamenting my own stupidity, Ethan stopped pacing. He must have been worried I wouldn't sign and decided to try persuasion. Vera, I can't just watch Chloe's reputation be destroyed. I can't watch her career collapse and have her face those massive penalty fees. It wasn't easy for her to get here. This is something we both owe her. So, let's divorce for now. Once the storm passes, we'll remarry. He really took me for an idiot. Still lying to my face to get me to sign. I said nothing, carefully reading through the entire agreement before looking up at him. I don't know if it was guilt or something else, but he couldn't meet my eyes. My gaze fell on his handsome face, the face that had haunted my dreams. And I tried to find the reason I had once thrown myself at him like a moth to a flame. But after a long moment, I couldn't find a single thing that made my heart flutter. The terms of the divorce were generous. I had no reason to refuse. I looked away, picked up the pen he had brought, and signed my name. After signing, I placed the agreement on the nightstand. Ethan stared at my signature for a long time. Then he said softly, "How is your leg now?" I didn't understand the point of asking that now. Was it guilt? Or was he just trying to make small talk? I didn't answer. When he got no response, he continued, the baby is fine. I asked the doctor. After the divorce, I'll have my assistant take care of you. I'm sorry for being absent during your pregnancy from now on. I'll have him accompany you to your checkups if you need anything else. You can call me anytime. We were already divorced. Who was he trying to disgust with all this sentimental nonsense? A wave of nausea washed over me. I cut him off. That won't be necessary. To avoid damaging Chloe's reputation, it's best we have no further contact. You can go now. We just need to go to the registry office in a month to finalize this. He didn't leave. He stayed for another half an hour, trying to make conversation. I remained cold, my face a mask of impatience. The moment I signed that paper, I had made my decision. I couldn't keep the child. I would end the pregnancy and make a clean break from Ethan. Forever. He was finally pulled away by a call from Chloe. She was crying, saying she had accidentally fallen and was in a lot of pain. She was the woman he cherished. After all, he was instantly frantic and rushed out of the room. The moment he was gone, I limped out of bed and went to the obstetrics and gynecology department. The procedure took less than an hour. It was painless. One shot of anesthesia. And when I woke up, I was back in my room. I struggled to sit up and saw my phone buzzing with calls and messages from my family and Ethan's parents. They were all asking what was going on. I didn't reply to his parents. We were divorced. His family was no longer my concern. I had no obligation to explain anything to them. That was his problem to deal with. I briefly told my parents and Maya about the divorce. My parents were furious, cursing Ethan and threatening to confront him. Neither set of parents knew about the pregnancy. And I didn't tell mine about the abortion. I just told them not to bother Ethan. The settlement was generous, and I could handle my own affairs. After hanging up with my parents, I booked a stay at a high-end postpartum care center. 2 hours later, a car from the center picked me up from the hospital. The center, costing hundreds of thousands a month, was incredibly comfortable. After settling in and drinking a nutritious soup prepared by the staff, I fell into a deep sleep. Ethan called me the next day. I didn't answer. He sent a text. Mr. Jung said the doctor cleared you for discharge today. I think you should stay a few more days. Your leg hasn't fully healed, and you're pregnant. I found it laughable and didn't bother to reply. He sent another message. I've already spoken to my parents. I told them the divorce is just for show and that we will remarry. You should tell your parents the same thing. By the way, if you need anything, let me or Mr. Jung know. You really were in the wrong this time. But my hand was forced, reading his placating explanations. I had a feeling he was up to something. I continued to ignore him. Later that evening, another message arrived. Vera, I'm planning to have Chloe move into our marital home today. After you're discharged, you can move into the villa in the suburbs. The air is better there. Perfect for your pregnancy. The marital home had been legally signed over to me in the divorce settlement. What was he playing at? I still didn't respond. He followed up. Oh, and there's one more thing I need your help with. It's about the homewrecker rumors. Some people are still questioning it. To be safe, could you find some time to post on your social media that we divorced 6 months ago? Let's put this to rest. This was too much. Even a saint has a breaking point. How could they be so brazen? So shameless. I couldn't take it anymore. I typed out a message, word by word. Ethan, I have a temper too. You and Chloe shouldn't push me too far. After I sent it, he backed down. Perhaps he realized he had gone too far. His tone softened. Don't be angry. It's not good for the baby. I'll reconsider having Chloe move into the house. And you don't need to post the clarification. Even though he relented, I was still seething. What kind of garbage were they? After sending the message, Ethan looked at Chloe, who was sitting next to him. Find a different place to live. The marital home isn't convenient. Chloe pouted. Is it because Vera refused? Ethan shook his head. It's not that she refused. I just don't think it's necessary. I have so many properties. You can live in any of them. There's no need to insist on that one. Hearing this, Chloe forced a reluctant smile and nodded. Then she asked, so, will Vera post the clarification that I'm not a homewrecker? No. She's pregnant. And I don't want to upset her. Besides, I've already issued a statement. There's no need to push her. Chloe's eyes darkened at his answer. Fine. Whatever you say. But since we're almost there, can I at least see it? I'm curious how you decorated your home. This time, Ethan didn't refuse. He took Chloe into the home he had shared with Vera. Chloe looked around, gasping in admiration. She showed no restraint. And after a tour of the ground floor, she asked to see the upstairs. Ethan, preoccupied, nodded absently. He watched her get into the elevator, then stood by the floor-to-ceiling window and called his assistant. Mr. Zhang, the missus will be discharged in a few days. I want you to find a few top-rated nannies who specialize in pregnancy care. Have them ready to look after her full-time when she leaves the hospital. Also, there's a pink diamond she likes at the auction the day after tomorrow. Make sure someone is there to buy it for her. Mr. Zhang agreed to everything. Ethan hung up and let out a long breath. He had been so busy taking care of Chloe these past few days that he had neglected his pregnant wife. He had expected Vera to use the baby to fight with him, but to his surprise, she had been completely quiet. Despite all the chaos, Vera hadn't called or texted him once. Her silence was unnerving. He had wanted to clarify the rumors the day they hit, but Chloe's assistant had stopped him, crying. She told him how difficult Chloe's life had been, How she had fallen into a deep depression because of him and had spent 3 years in treatment abroad. How she had taken small, thankless roles just to survive. She told him Chloe had attempted suicide 3 times and still had deep, permanent scars on her wrists. She begged him to help Chloe, who had finally gotten a lucky break. Seeing the scars on the unconscious Chloe's wrists, Ethan's heart softened. He and Chloe had been truly in love. She had been a brilliant student. If not for their relationship, her life would have been different. Ethan felt he owed her. He wanted to make it up to her, because he hadn't immediately clarified the news. Things had spiraled out of control. He never thought Vera would do something so outrageous. She had actually spread the rumor that Chloe was a homewrecker. When the news broke, Chloe had a breakdown and tried to kill herself with a knife. Ethan had the doctors sedate her, then went to confront Vera. He didn't want a divorce. Not when Vera was carrying his child. He just wanted to force her to apologize, to teach her a lesson. That's why he gave her 2 choices. He was certain she would choose the first one. He never expected her to choose divorce without a second thought. Her choice infuriated him. She was getting more and more out of line. He had spoiled her. She had done something wrong. Yet she showed no remorse and was so defiant. Did she think he wouldn't dare to touch her? Was she using the baby to blackmail him? She was hopeless. Because of her stubbornness. He had posted that clarification in a fit of rage. One lie requires countless others to cover it up. He had backed himself into a corner to prevent anyone from using this to hurt Chloe again. The divorce had become necessary. This is for the best, he thought. It will teach Vera a lesson and curb her scheming habits. Ethan wasn't worried about losing control. He knew how much Vera loved him. He knew she would do anything for him. He knew she would understand. He had his lawyer draft the divorce agreement. When he brought it to her hospital room, he had imagined her reaction. She would be heartbroken. She would demand to know why. She would throw a tantrum, using the baby as leverage. But Vera was quiet. She read the document without a word and signed her name. From beginning to end, she showed no sadness, no grief. She didn't cling to him. Her calmness was unsettling. He tried to start a conversation, but she was uninterested. He even saw a flicker of annoyance on her face. A heavy feeling settled in his chest. He wanted to apologize, to say he was sorry. He wanted to promise that this was the last time he would help Chloe. But the words wouldn't come. In 5 years of marriage, he had grown accustomed to being the one in charge, to Vera's unconditional tolerance. He had never thought he would one day have to apologize to her. Besides, this time, she was the one in the wrong. He felt he had done nothing wrong. Ethan practically fled from her room. A strange emptiness gnawed at Ethan. Seeing Chloe's tear-streaked face no longer evoked the same pang of sympathy. He stared at his phone distractedly. Given Vera's obsession with him, he figured it would only be a matter of hours before she regretted her decision and came crying to him, begging him to take back the divorce. But 2 days passed, and there was nothing. He looked at his chat history with her. He realized she used to send him dozens of messages a day. Even when he didn't have time to read them, even when he never replied, she had been content. Now, their last conversation was from a week ago, the day of the crash. She hadn't initiated contact in that long. Why the sudden change? He couldn't figure it out. Meanwhile, Chloe, with her pitiful act, made another request. To convince her fans their romance was real. She wanted to move into the $2 billion villa he owned. She also said she needed Vera to cooperate by posting a statement that they had divorced long ago, to clear her name. The villa she wanted was the marital home he had shared with Vera. Making Vera post a statement was also out of the question. He didn't agree immediately, instead sending a message to Vera. She didn't reply, maintaining her usual silence. A deeper panic began to set in. He felt something slipping from his control. For the first time, a new thought occurred to him. Maybe Vera didn't love him as much as he thought. After all, she didn't seem to care at all about his contact with Chloe. Even if he was just putting on an act, her indifference was too cold. After sending the message, he waited anxiously, his eyes glued to his phone. Finally, a reply came. She was angry, telling him not to push her too far. A weight lifted from his chest. It wasn't that she didn't care. She was just being mature. She knew that crying and screaming wouldn't change anything. Her love for him made her tolerate all his unreasonable demands. A bitter taste filled his mouth. He swore to himself. This is the last time. Once he helped Chloe navigate this crisis, he would cut ties with her. He would remarry Vera and give her a grand wedding. After all, they had never had a proper ceremony. Vera's response put his anxious heart at ease. He finally had the mental space to think about Chloe. She had been upstairs for a long time. What was she doing? With that thought, he quickly went upstairs, calling her name. After a few shouts, he heard her reply. She was in his and Vera's bedroom. What was she doing in their bedroom? He quickened his pace and pushed the door open, only to be met with a jaw-dropping scene. I thought Ethan's concession would be the end of it. But 2 hours later, Chloe sent me several photos. The background was the bedroom of my marital home. Her pale legs were wrapped around Ethan's waist. The bed was a mess, and her lingerie was scattered on the floor. It was obvious what they had been doing. I never thought Ethan could be so shameless. I was so disgusted I leaned over the sink and retched. After signing the divorce papers, I had no intention of ever returning to that house. Now, seeing what they had done there, it was even more impossible. I continued to ignore Ethan, but he was like a different person, constantly messaging me, trying to make small talk. A week after I moved into the postpartum center, he messaged me again. Where are you? Mr. Zhang went to pick you up from the hospital, but you had already left. He couldn't find you at the house either. Where did you move? We were divorced. Where I went was none of his damn business. I didn't want to reply, but he was relentless. Vera, are you angry with me? Please say something. You can even yell at me if you want. You're pregnant now. You can't hold in your anger. It's not good for the baby. Vera, why don't we meet? It'll come to you. Just tell me where you are. I didn't understand the point of these messages. In 5 years of marriage, he had sent me more messages today than in the past 5 years combined. What did he want? Could he really be thinking of having his cake and eating it too? After being with Chloe, did he plan to come back to me when he got bored? How disgusting could he be? Tired of the nauseating messages, I blocked him. I blocked his assistant, Mr. Zhang, too. Finally, some peace and quiet. Now, all that was left was to get the official divorce certificate. To my surprise, after I ignored him, he went to my parents to ask about my whereabouts. They had him thrown out. He then went to Maya. Maya didn't coddle him either. She met him with a barrage of sarcasm and, of course, didn't reveal where I was. Maya was unconditionally on my side. That scumbag probably thought you were at my place. He showed up with a bouquet of flowers and a basket of your favorite fruits and pastries. I didn't hold back. I let him have it. And you know what? He didn't even argue back. He just politely asked me to tell him where you are, saying he was worried you'd do something rash, especially since you're pregnant. How ridiculous. Where was this concern when he was shielding his tramp during the car crash? Where was it when he announced their relationship to the world? Now that you've divorced him without a fight, he's putting on this act. You don't think he's suddenly realized how good you are and regrets it, do you? Of course not. How do you know? You two have known each other since you were kids. He was good to you back then. If it wasn't for that green tea bitch Chloe, you two wouldn't be like this. Maya was one of the few who knew our whole story. She rambled on. I watched him. You know, he looked haggard. None of his usual confidence. When he mentioned you, his voice was filled with worry. Not just for you, but for the baby. I wonder what his face will look like when he finds out you got rid of it. He won't have any reaction. He certainly won't be sad. If he wants a child, he can just have one with Chloe. That scumbag said there's nothing going on with him and Chloe, that he just feels sorry for her and wants to help her out, that they're completely platonic. I calmly forwarded the photos Chloe had sent me to Maya. Maya had been to my house. The moment she saw them, she exploded. Damn it, those two dogs. How dare they? This is so fucking disgusting. To do that in your marital bed. Vera, you can't let them get away with this. Screw them. Expose these photos Chloe sent you. Let everyone know what kind of trash they are. Ruin her reputation. Make her bankrupt. Faced with Maya's fury, I remained calm. Maya, I've completely let go. In about 10 days, this will all be over. I don't want any more trouble. Maya cursed Ethan and Chloe's ancestors for 8 generations before hanging up. Still fuming, I continued to recuperate at the center, eating well and sleeping well. The food was delicious, and the gardens were beautiful. My days consisted of eating, walking, scrolling through my phone, and sleeping. News about Ethan and Chloe would still pop up on the trending lists. Ethan had bankrolled a lavish historical drama for her, said to be the blockbuster of the year. The male lead was an award-winning superstar, and even the supporting roles were filled with veteran actors. Ethan and Chloe were spotted having a candlelight dinner. They went camping to watch a meteor shower. A reporter asked Chloe about her and Ethan, and she replied coyly, "No comment." The next day, she was wearing a massive diamond ring. Everyone assumed they were getting engaged. But then, the paparazzi caught them arguing. Their drama was a never-ending saga, and I watched it all like a TV series. Time flew by, and soon it was the day to get our official divorce certificate. I unblocked Ethan and sent him a message. "Don't forget the registry office tomorrow morning." He immediately replied with a string of voice messages. "Vera, where have you been? Why did you block me? Do you know how worried I was? I've been going crazy looking for you. How are you and the baby? Where are you now? I'll come find you." I frowned. "There's no need to meet. Just don't forget the registry office tomorrow." He sent another flurry of voice messages. I listened to a few before losing interest. The next morning at 9, I drove to the registry office. Ethan was already there. When he saw me get out of my car, he rushed over. "Vera, let's go in," I said, giving him a cool nod and heading up the steps. He followed, grabbing my hand. "Vera, if you're unhappy, we don't have to do this." His words made me stop and stare at him in surprise. "What do you mean?" "I mean, the news about Chloe and me has died down. As long as no one is watching, we don't actually have to finalize the divorce." I never thought he would say something like that. I just yanked my hand away. "Does Chloe know about this?" "Not yet, but I'm sure she'll understand. You should probably discuss it with her first." I reminded him, my face expressionless. But he had no intention of doing so. He grabbed my hand again. "Vera, it's settled. Let's go home." I never imagined he would back out at this stage. I pulled my hand away again. "Ethan, for the sake of Chloe's career, you should go through with this. You can't keep a secret like this forever." As I recall, she has a lot of endorsement deals. If the truth comes out, the penalty fees will be astronomical. Billions in fees would send her to hell. He hesitated. I ignored him and went inside to get a number. As we waited, he sat beside me, his eyes fixed on my stomach. "Is the baby behaving? Not giving you too much trouble?" I replied flatly. "What do you think?" I looked it up online. They say pregnancy comes with morning sickness and it's very difficult. I was so worried when I couldn't reach you. How about I take you for a checkup afterward? I didn't respond. He seemed to think I would be moved, his voice becoming soft and affectionate. "Vera, I've thought it over. I should be the one to accompany you to your checkups from now on. Don't worry about being photographed. I'll make sure it's private. I'll go home with you today. I'm going to move in and take care of you." I was getting annoyed. I glanced at the screen and saw our number was next. I stood up, relieved. It's our turn. A few minutes later, we each walked out with a divorce certificate in hand. As we were walking, Chloe's assistant called, saying Chloe had been injured on set and needed him. But instead of rushing over like before, he snapped into the phone. "If she's injured, take her to a doctor." "Why are you calling me? I'm not a doctor." How strange. Wasn't he madly in love with her? How could he change so much in just a month? I couldn't figure it out, and I didn't want to. I hurried to my car. By the time he hung up, I was already gone. He immediately called my phone. It rang once before I blocked him again. With the divorce certificate in hand, it was final. I called my lawyer and told him to start liquidating the assets from the settlement. Sell the jewelry, property, and cars. Transfer the stocks and funds. I moved into a 5,000 square foot apartment that was in my name and called Maya to go out for drinks. I had been cooped up in that postpartum center for too long. Now that I was single again, it was time to have some fun. Maya and I went out, and we didn't try to hide it. We were enjoying fine wine, delicious food, and the company of some handsome young men when Ethan showed up. His face was dark as he and his bodyguards cleared the room. The men we had hired for their 8-packs were politely escorted out. Maya was the first to object. "Ethan, what's the meaning of this? You're ruining my fun. This isn't over." Ethan's eyes were on me. "Vera, I've been looking for you all day. I haven't even eaten." What was that supposed to mean? Did he think I would feel sorry for him? He was delusional. I looked at him calmly. Mr. Shin, what can I do for you? We're divorced. My cold use of his formal title made him look like he had swallowed something foul. Vera, we agreed it was a fake divorce. Mr. Shin, we went to the registry office. We did it ourselves. You should know there's no such thing as a fake divorce. He was clearly panicking. Vera, I know you're angry. Let's go home. We can talk about this at home. He reached for me, but Maya shoved him away. We're divorced. What's this act all about? Ethan, are you trying to have it both ways? Do you think Vera is some fool you can just manipulate? Enough. Maya, this is between Vera and me. Stay out of it. You know she's pregnant. You know she can't drink. Yet you encourage this. What kind of friend are you? What I do with Maya is none of your business. I'll say it again. Ethan, we are divorced. I want no contact with my ex-husband. And I expect the same from you. He acted as if he didn't understand. He wouldn't leave. I lost my patience. Ethan, if you keep this up, I'll call the media. You don't want to see Chloe the homewrecker trending again, do you? For Chloe's sake. He backed down. He agreed to stop following me, but only if I promised not to drink and to go home early. His little drama had ruined our mood. On the way home, Maya cursed him out the entire time. The next morning, I was woken by the doorbell. When I opened the door, I was greeted by a giant teddy bear made of roses. I stumbled back, and his assistant, Mr. Zhang, popped up from behind it. He was holding a small, exquisite box. Mrs. Shin, the president asked me to deliver this pink diamond to you. I scowled. Take it back, and tell Ethan not to do these meaningless things. It makes him look cheap. Mr. Zhang tried to say something, but I had already called security. A few minutes later, they politely escorted him away. After he was gone, Ethan's mother paid me a visit. She pleaded on his behalf. Vera, I know Ethan was unfair to you this time. That foolish boy. How could he treat his pregnant wife like that for some low-life woman? So, he had told his parents about the pregnancy. Her gaze softened slightly. Don't worry. The only grandchild I will acknowledge is the one in your belly. No other riffraff will ever step foot in the Shin family home. His mother had never been particularly kind to me after we married. It was because of how our marriage started. She had liked me before that incident, but afterwards, she became condescending. The Shin family had used my family's investment to save their company, but she showed no gratitude. She was constantly setting rules for me. We were childless for 5 years, and she always implied it was my fault. I had tolerated her because of my love for Ethan, but now, seeing that same arrogant attitude, I wasn't going to indulge her. Ma'am, have some self-respect. We're divorced. We should be strangers. How can you have the audacity to say such shameless things to me? Your son was the one who cheated, wasn't he? He wanted to divorce me for his mistress. I gave him what he wanted. Shouldn't he be happily living with her now? What is the meaning of this? Is the Shin family in financial trouble again? Do you need another investment from my parents? My blunt words made her face turn purple. She was furious. Vera, don't push it. Who do you think you are? Talking to an elder like that. If you want to remarry my son, you'd better be more polite. Don't think being pregnant makes you special. There's a line of women from one end of the city to the other who would love to have his child. Then go find one of them. What are you bothering me for? She stormed off. I thought that after that, Ethan's pride would keep him from harassing me further. And for a few days, it was quiet. A week later, I was invited to Maya's brother's birthday party. Ethan was there. He came alone. Maya scowled. The disgusting scumbag is here. Just seeing him is bad luck. But why didn't he bring his little tramp? As if on cue, Chloe walked in. She was wearing a magnificent gown and glided over to Ethan. Reaching for his arm, he moved away. His public rejection left her completely humiliated, her face a mask of fury. Maya was shocked. What's with him? Why would he embarrass his mistress in public like that? Don't care. Not interested. Let's get some food. We went to the buffet, but Chloe followed us. She was holding a glass of red wine. As she passed me, she stumbled, and the wine was about to spill all over me. I was ready for her. I quickly put up a hand to block it, and the wine splashed all over her face. She shrieked, and people rushed over. She looked at me with a pitiful expression. Miss Sue, I did nothing to you. Why would you do this to me? You've gone too far. Before I could answer, Maya spoke up. You think you're worthy of Varys' attention. You really overestimate yourself. Let me warn you, Chloe. This is my family's party. There are cameras in every corner. Don't try your cheap tricks here. Ethan. Chloe looked to him for help, but his face was etched with annoyance. That's enough. Go change. Stop embarrassing yourself. Chloe left, sobbing. Since Ethan didn't defend her, the incident ended there. The party continued. People were chatting, dancing. Everyone in our circle knew about the divorce. Now that I was single again, several men approached me. I had no intention of being alone forever. I accepted a few invitations to dance. As I twirled on the dance floor, I felt a pair of eyes burning into me. I looked over, and it was Ethan. What the hell? Why was he staring at me? His intense gaze made me uncomfortable. I went to the lounge to take a break, and like a persistent ghost, he followed me in. Vera, you're pregnant. Why are you wearing high heels? And you were drinking. Don't you know that's bad for the baby? I shot back. None of your damn business. He didn't get angry. Vera, I didn't bring Chloe. I came alone. I don't know how she got in. You know all eyes are on me right now. I had no choice. I had to be civil to her in public. I owe her that. Seeing my cold, impassive face, he put on a wounded expression. You've changed. Vera, you were never like this before. How can you smile at other men? You told me you only loved me. Why did you break your promise? He questioned me, then quickly apologized. I admit I was inconsiderate of your feelings before. I know I was wrong now. Vera, I miss you. I've been dreaming about you. Ethan, there's nothing more to say. Please stay away from me. No. Vera, your heart has grown hard. You know I'm falling for you. And you're playing with me. He moved to embrace me, to kiss me. I struggled, but I was no match for him. He had been drinking, and his strength was overwhelming. He pinned me to the sofa and kissed me forcefully. Just then, the door to the lounge was pushed open. A woman's shriek pierced the air. Chloe stood there, her hand over her mouth, tears in her eyes. Her scream drew a crowd. Everyone stared at us in shock. The audience made Ethan release me. Furious and humiliated, I slapped him hard across the face. Ethan, if you ever harass me again, don't blame me for what I do. Chloe rushed over to check the red mark on his face. I got up and left. On the way home, my heart was pounding. I had a terrible feeling that something was about to happen. Sure enough, the next morning, the drama between the three of us was trending again. But this time, I was the one being attacked. Photos of Ethan and me in the lounge had been released. Not only that, but a new story emerged. A detailed account of how I had interfered in their relationship, schemed to get Ethan in bed, and driven Chloe away. Vera the homewrecker and shameless Vera Sue were the top two trending topics. Chloe's fans launched a vicious campaign against me, flooding my social media with insults and threats. My parents tried to suppress the news, but it was no use. Chloe's fanbase was massive, and they were relentless. I became public enemy number one. Ethan called me from a new number. Vera, I'll handle this. Don't worry. I didn't ask how. I just hung up. I had no illusions that he would defend me. The only person I could trust was myself. Before, my love for him had made me endure the slander. But I didn't love him anymore. Why should I tolerate this humiliation? I compiled an objective account of our history. Before Chloe, Ethan and I were publicly known to be engaged. It was Chloe who came between us and made him change his mind. I never schemed to marry him. The incident that night was something that happened to me, not by me. As for the present, we had been divorced for less than a month. Chloe knew we were legally married when she got involved with him. I posted a picture of my divorce certificate. The date was recent, disproving his claim that we had divorced long ago. I also posted the intimate photos and videos Chloe had sent me as a provocation. Finally, I posted a copy of the medical report for my abortion. The backlash was swift and fierce. All the evidence I presented proved that we had not been divorced. Chloe had interfered in our marriage while I was pregnant. Their perfect love story instantly crumbled. When fans saw the divorce certificate and the abortion report, they were enraged. They turned on Chloe and Ethan. Scumbag Ethan and slut Chloe replaced the negative hashtags about me. The public demanded Chloe retire and apologize. Brands dropped her one by one, suing for damages. Ethan frantically tried to call me from different numbers. When I didn't answer, he came to my door. I finally had to face him. Why? He stared at my abdomen. Vera, the abortion report is fake, right? You didn't harm our child, did you? I frowned. How could it be fake? Ethan, after you slandered me like that for Chloe, did you really think I would be foolish enough to keep the child? But that was our child. She was innocent. You loved her so much. That was before. Before you accused me for Chloe's sake. Before you pinned a crime on me that I didn't commit. Before you forced me to choose between apologizing to her and divorce. I made my choice then. You could have just told me no. You could have refused. Why did you make such a decision on your own without saying a word? I had no choice at the time. And I didn't want to keep making the same mistake. I reiterated. Ethan, what happened between us back then was never my plan. I never wanted to drive Chloe away. I was framed. What's the point of saying this now? Vera, can we go back? I'll make Chloe leave. We can start over. Never. Ethan, I would rather die than ever be entangled with you again. Because you disgust me. Vera, I never slept with Chloe. She tried to seduce me, but I pushed her away in the end. Believe me. Did my belief even matter anymore? No. Ethan, let this be the end. Stop harassing me. I slammed the door and heard a sob from the other side. He could feel sadness. I thought it was over. But that wasn't the end. An unexpected post appeared online. The poster claimed to be a witness from 5 years ago. They provided video evidence clarifying what had really happened that night. I hadn't seduced Ethan. I hadn't used any dirty tricks. It was all his mother's doing. She had arranged for both of us to be drugged and for me to be carried, unconscious, into his room. She did it so I would have to marry him. So my family's investment would save theirs. Everyone was stunned. Ethan's mother issued a statement denying it, claiming I had paid someone to frame her. But then, someone else came forward with a video of Ethan's mother meeting Chloe in a cafe. In the video, she gave Chloe $5 million to leave the country. She also asked Chloe to help her stage a scene. And Chloe agreed. Netizens abroad dug up details about Chloe's life there. She had studied in Germany and fallen in love with a German man who later cheated on her and abused her. The scars on her wrists weren't from depression. They were from domestic violence. The public was in an uproar. The Shin family's treachery was condemned. Their company's stock plummeted. And it didn't stop there. People uncovered evidence of tax evasion, bribery, and even a covered-up death at one of their construction sites. The Shin family's assets were frozen, and his parents were taken in for investigation. Ethan was also questioned multiple times, but his parents took all the blame, clearing his name. He was never charged, but the company was ruined. It eventually declared bankruptcy. After his company went bankrupt, Ethan called me. Vera, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I hung up without a word.